And jurors are heading back to court today in the trial for Hannah Gutierrez-Reed, the armorer on the set of the movie Rust. The person who supplied the ammunition to Gutierrez-Reed is expected to take the stand today. This comes after the movie's director gave emotional testimony Friday, describing the moments he and cinematographer Hannah Hutchins were shot. Gutierrez-Reed has pleaded not guilty to involuntary manslaughter in Hutchinson's death. ABC News legal contributor Brian Buckmire joins me now for more. Brian, what can we expect in court today?
Well, as you said, we're going to get a witness who's going to take the stand and explain how that ammunition got to the set. That's the major question here. They've pretty much, being the prosecution, proven that this was a sloppy scene, that there were bullets everywhere, whether they be blanks or real, and that Hannah Gutierrez-Reed's handling of the guns were below industry standards. So now the question of how those bullets got there, I think, is the next question to be answered.
Now, Brian, prosecutors shared a text sent to the ammunition supplier, Seth Kenney, from the weekend before the shooting, saying that Gutierrez-Reed was, quote, so drunk she didn't know she brought live ammo onto the truck when she went to get a gun from the safe. How damning could that text alone be for this case?
Extremely damning. Don't forget, there's not just involuntary manslaughter charges, which is the primary focus here. There's also tampering with evidence, which includes that baggie of suspected cocaine that Hannah Gutierrez-Reed is accused of handing to another colleague before the investigation. It's the substance abuse and the alcohol that the prosecution is saying led to the sloppy handling of the bullets, the guns, and the death of Hannah Hutchins.
Now, in his testimony, the director, Joel Souza, who was also shot in this incident, he said he remembers Gutierrez-Reed being distraught after the shooting and telling him that she was sorry. Could the jurors see that as an admission of guilt?
So there's two parts to that. It's one, it's the source of information. Often people say, and I agree with them, that it's harder to prove an attempted murder than a murder case, because you're ultimately going to get a person in an attempted murder case or an involuntary manslaughter come up and say, I almost got hit. This is what I felt. This is what I saw. And then on top of that, the statement, as you're pointing to, it sounds like an admission of guilt. It could just be a guilty conscience and not necessarily guilt of a charge, but the prosecution and the jurors are potentially going to look at it and say, you believe you did wrong, now we're going to find you guilty because of that.
And I always like to remind people that this is the prosecution side of the case. We have not heard the defense call their witnesses yet. So what are you watching for as we hear from this ammunition supplier and other witnesses coming, both on examination, on the initial questioning, and on cross?
A large part of this case is, did Hannah Hutchins die because Hannah Gutierrez-Reed fell below industry standards in terms of how ammunition was brought onto the scene, as well as the discharge of the weapon? I expect a bit of a battle of the experts for the defense to put on people to say, you know what? Hannah Gutierrez-Reed did what was acceptable. Maybe it was not enough in its entirety, but it reached industry standards. And here's our view of what she did, and that she wasn't reckless, she wasn't negligent. And then it's going to be up to the jury to decide which experts are correct in this case.
The prosecution, the defense has tried to paint this, at least in opening statements and in some of their questions, as she was trying to bring the standards up and was being told no by the production. Is that enough of a defense?
I mean, that's up to the 12 people that are going to decide this, but I think it is probably the strongest defense that they have, to point the fingers at other, whether it be the environment as a whole, as Alec Baldwin is not just the lead actor here, but a co-producer, and he's the one with the gun in his hand, saying that he created this environment, he pulled the gun, and that other people were involved while she was trying to, as you point out, raise the standards here, and it's not her problem or her guilty actions, but others.
All right, ABC News legal contributor Brian Buckmire. Brian, thank you.
My pleasure.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.